Hey folks, how's it going? This is Game Webcam, and today I'm gonna tell you how I was able to run Roblox at a near optimal experience on Linux, and you can pretty much have a Roblox experience that is almost the same as having a normal Windows or Mac experience. Now, I usually don't make tutorial videos on my channel, and the main reason is because that's not my specialty at all. But the reason why I'm making this tutorial video is because I was originally going to include this in a video where I was making an update on trying out Linux, but because of how long I explained the whole tutorial and the fact that some parts weren't so clear, I decided to cut that part out from my video entirely, and I'm deciding to put it all in this video. So, alright, so some of the things you're going to need before we can start this tutorial, you're going to need the packages Git, and you're also going to need Wine-Tkg. We're going to be cloning a Git repository, so be sure to have the Git package installed if you don't already have it. And also be sure to have Wine-Tkg installed because we are going to be using Wine-Tkg at one point in this tutorial to make a minor configuration. So in regards to hardware, make sure your computer can run Vulkan graphics. If you have a separate graphics card, check online to make sure that your graphics card is capable of running Vulkan graphics. We will not be using DXVK for Roblox graphics because Roblox does have native support for the Vulkan API, and because using DXVK may introduce graphical glitches such as missing textures, improper lighting, and all that sort of stuff, we're going to go straight to Vulkan and not use D3D or DXVK. In regards to applications, you're going to need grape juice. And the main reason why I am specifying grape juice here is because grape juice is going to really help us with a lot of the conveniences of installing Roblox and getting it running. Also, we're going to be using it to modify something called fast flags, and we're going to be modifying a few F flags just to make sure that we are running on optimal performance. Now, you probably have noticed that I did not specify wine as a requirement, and that is because in this tutorial, we are going to be building our own wine here. And there's a good reason why we are building our own wine, because if you try to run Roblox with vanilla wine, you will encounter a couple of issues. Some of the most notable issues being that if you try to look around through right-clicking or go into first person after a few frames, your mouse is going to get stuck on the window, and you pretty much can't do anything about it unless you either bring up your little operating system menu to get it unstuck, or you completely quit and leave the game entirely. So the wine that we are going to be building for this tutorial is a specific fork of wine called Wine-Tkg, and this is going to be the fork that we are going to be using to run Roblox. Wine-Tkg is customly built to have additional patches for many different games, but the most important part about Wine-Tkg is that it allows for custom community patches. And we are going to be using a few of those custom community patches to help resolve a lot of those annoyances that we would otherwise come across when using vanilla wine. This tutorial is accustomed to Arch or Arch-based distributions. If you are using a Debian or Debian-based distribution or using Fedora or something like OpenSUSE, you will need to do a few additional things in order to get this wine working properly. There is this very useful guide by this particular user that should give you a good idea of what you need to do for some of the additional steps, such as installing additional dependencies, being able to execute a script instead of typing in a command, and also specifying the wine path when it is done. I will leave a link to this guide in the description so you can check it out for yourself. But alright, so let's get started with building this custom fork of wines. Alright, so head over to a repository that you think you're going to be cloning the repository in. And you're going to clone the repository by typing in git clone, and then you're going to get the git link by doing what I just did right there, and you're going to type in enter, and that is going to clone the repository and allow you to be able to operate on it. Next, you're going to head into this newly created repository by doing cd wine-tkg git, which will take us into that folder. I need to make sure that the latest build of Wine-Tkg works, because unfortunately, because this does depend on wine, it doesn't always compile properly. Whether it's because of a wine issue or an issue with the actual repository itself, the package may not always compile correctly. As you can see, it is currently running a simulation right now. There are 3 separate runners, one for Arch Linux, one for Fedora, and one for Ubuntu. Be sure to check the runner that applies to the distribution that you are using. As you can see, Ubuntu, for some reason, is currently not working right now. So, for you Ubuntu users, you're going to have to wait until they somehow manage to get this to work again before you can actually do this. But if you are on Fedora or you're on Arch Linux, you should be good to go. Again, they run these every 12 hours, and if you see the latest workflow has this green check mark, that means you're good to go. We should definitely be able to build this version of wine without any issues. If you see a red X on here, that probably means that you're not going to be able to build your wine successfully. And it is recommended that you wait until there is a run that does have this green check mark before continuing. And before I continue, no, do not download a continuous integration for this tutorial, because by downloading a continuous integration, you are not going to be able to apply those community patches that are needed for Roblox to work optimally. So do not download from the CI. Only use the CI as a reference of whether your package is going to compile or not. Alright, so I just created a fresh new repository that we have to work off of. Alright, so we're gonna go cd wine-tkg git again, because there are 2 separate variants of this repository. One is for Proton and one is for wine. We want to be focusing on the wine version. Alright, so we're going to now be customizing a configuration file, and we're going to open up a file called customization.cfg. I'm going to use Vim for this tutorial, but if you have your favorite text editor, you can feel free to use that as well. Alright, so you don't have to do this, but I'm going to be setting Windows 10 default to true. Also, this is going to be using a staging version of wine, and if you are not comfortable with using a staging version of wine, go to this property right here, _use_staging, and set this to false if you want to use a more stable version of wine. But for this tutorial, we are going to be using a staging version of wine. Alright, so the meat and potatoes of this configuration files is right here. This attribute called _community_patches. This is where we're going to apply one of 2 community patches, because one of them is specified in a repository that is full of the community patches. So the mouse patch that you are going to want to apply here is Roblox_mouse_fix.mypatch. That is the name of the patch that we are going to install to fix one of the issues with the mouse. But if you try to build wine with only this patch, that's not going to solve the issue entirely. While your mouse no longer gets stuck on the Roblox client anymore, Roblox's client will fight back by not letting you look around in the first place. I don't know why, but this is this patch alone will not solve the issue. All right, so I'm gonna save and quit out of this, and we are going to be applying a second patch. Now, you can only get this patch by being in the Grape Juice Discord server. Now, of course, I am going to be generous enough to not make you have to join the server to get this patch. So, if you want to get this patch, I will have a link for it in the description that you can use to download the patch yourself. So we're going to download that real quick. We're going to actually open up the file manager for this one. You could use the command line for this, but I'm just too lazy to do that at the moment. So we're going to take our patch that we downloaded, and we're going to copy it over into our repository. So let's go to our repository here. This is where we have our customization file, and we're going to go to this folder called Wine-Tkg-user patches. Go into this folder, and we're going to paste this my patch file into that folder. Now, both of these patches should be sufficient enough to resolve most of the mouse issues. The only other issue that I come across with the mouse is that it sometimes does jump around in position a little bit, but other than that, it actually solves the issue of getting the mouse stuck, and you'll be able to look around in your Roblox game without a problem. Now, this is an optional step. You are going to go over to Wine-Tkg profiles and open up advanced customization.cfg. And in this file, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and turn this option from false to true. This is basically just going to get rid of an annoying message that tells us, hey, you have applied user patches to your Wine-Tkg. Are you sure you want to apply these? We obviously do want to apply these. You don't have to do this, but if you do start making the package, you will get that warning. And if you do get that warning, just say yes, because we do want to apply those user patches. But I'm doing this so that way we don't have to come across that annoying message when we start making our package here. Alright, so that should be enough in terms of the setup for our Wine-Tkg, and now it is time to start making the package. Now, again, for our Arch users, there is a command that we type in, make package -si, but if you are a Debian-based user, you are going to be running this shell script right here that will essentially do the same thing. Alright, so after typing in that command, we now have this wonderful ASCII art right here. We have configured everything, so let's press enter to continue. And it's currently retrieving the latest versions of Wine, and it's getting those repositories right now because, again, we are essentially making our own version of Wine here. So we're going to give it some time while it clones the repositories needed. Up next, you're going to come to the hotfixes section. So basically, these are just a bunch of hotfixes that are supplied by Wine-Tkg to try and address common issues that may result from specific configurations of Wine-Tkg or from Wine itself. But none of these hotfixes are going to apply to what we are doing, so we're going to say no to all of these hotfixes here, because none of these hotfixes are going to be applicable to Roblox. So just say no to all of them, and continue going on as always. Alright, so now it's actually starting to compile Wine staging itself, and it's going to now also try to compile Wine-Tkg and applying all those patches. So this is going to take a while. This is probably going to take at least 10 to 20 minutes for this to be finished. So you could just sit back and do something else while you wait for all of this to compile. Alright, it looks like we are almost finished making our custom wine package. It's tidying everything up. Type in our sudo password. Well, because I already have it installed, there isn't much I need to change, so But if you do have a vanilla wine or wine staging package installed already, you're going to notice that this custom Wine-Tkg package is going to conflict with that vanilla package. We are going to completely replace our vanilla wine and wine staging package with our custom Wine-Tkg, because this is a custom built version of wine here. It's going to do everything that normal wine does, just with additional patches. So if it does come up with a conflicting issue, type in yes, because we do want to replace vanilla wine with our custom wine package. That's it. That's the wine package done. So now we're going to head over to grape juice. All right, so once we have grape juice open, we're gonna do a few things first before we even touch Roblox, because there are definitely a few things that we need to do. All right, so first off, make sure that you have your wine is able to be configured. This will require the wine mono package, and if you don't have that installed, well, hopefully wine should install it for you. It will prompt you to install it. Just install wine mono. So be sure to have that. Now we're going to open up Wine-Tkg, because the great thing about grape juice is that when it does use wine for Roblox, it decides to dedicate its own prefix to running Roblox. So if you are going to be configuring this, it's not going to be affecting your entire wine prefix. It is using its own prefix right here to run Roblox on. All right, so when you open up Wine-Tkg, select the default wine prefix, which is technically not the default wine prefix. It's the grape juice wine prefix. We're going to go over to change settings. So click OK there. And we're going to scroll down and we're going to find a property called renderer equals Vulkan. You want to turn this property on and you're going to hit OK. If you get this warning, just hit OK, just ignore it. But this is going to configure our wine prefix, so that way it uses the Vulkan renderer for rendering our graphics, instead of trying to convert direct 3D graphics to Vulkan graphics through DXVK. Because again, Roblox does have native support for the Vulkan API. We need to now tell Roblox to prefer rendering using the Vulkan rendering API, because it's still going to attempt to try and render using direct 3D. And because we are using the Vulkan renderer, it's going to take a major hit on our frame rate. We're going to get severe lag if we try playing it right now. So we're going to be modifying a few F flags here to let Roblox know that we want to use the Vulkan rendering API. In order to get the F flag to launch properly, be sure to sign into Roblox Studio, because you will need to launch, because launching the F flag editor will launch Roblox Studio. So be sure to sign into Roblox Studio right here. Just simply log in on the website and it'll redirect back to this application. But once you have Roblox Studio installed, we're going to open up the F flag editor. Now, if you do have a little warning menu that tells you, hey, you are going to be modifying F flags, do this at your own risk, just proceed anyways. Alright, so once you have the fast flag editor open, there are 3 flags that we care about the most. And it's these 3 flags right here. So if you want to easily access these 3 flags, just type Vulkan into the search and you should be able to find all 3 of these settings right off the bat. So the 3 flags that we're going to want to enable is F-Flag Debug Graphics Prefer Vulkan. We also want to turn on Vulkan Video Memory 3. And also we want to turn on Future is Bright Phase 3 Vulkan, because there are some places that use the Future is Bright lighting system. And because Future is Bright is almost a completely different lighting system, it will need to be specified to use the Vulkan rendering API. So you do want to turn this on if you are going to be playing any places that do use the Future is Bright lighting engine. That way, you won't be experiencing lag when playing those particular places. Now, those should be all the flags that you need, but if you are coming across the issue still, turn on this F flag, disable Direct 3D 11, to explicitly tell Roblox to not use Direct 3D for graphics. But this shouldn't be an issue in most cases, so you shouldn't need to turn it on for the most part. After that, we're gonna hit save and apply all of our changes, and we're gonna exit out of the fast flag editor. So, after all of that, that should be enough to run Roblox with a near optimal experience. If you haven't already, click this button right here to install Roblox, and feel free to join an experience and have fun. Now, I want to dedicate this last part of the tutorial for people who have a monitor that has greater than 60 hertz refresh rate. Because if you don't know, the Roblox client caps its frame rate at 60 frames per second, which means that you're only going to be able to experience a refresh rate of 60 hertz. No matter if you have a monitor that has a refresh rate of 75 hertz, 90 hertz, 120, 144, you get the idea. So to get the Roblox client to take advantage of our native frame rate, Grape Juice has us covered with this one button here. So you want to install the FPS unlocker. Don't worry, this is completely safe. You will not get moderated for this. And what this program is going to do is it's going to remove that 60 frames per second cap off of the display rate, and you'll be able to experience Roblox at a refresh rate that is greater than 60 hertz. And double check to make sure that it is enabled by going into the config file and seeing RDX FPS unlocker. This should confirm that you have the FPS unlocker installed and that you have it enabled so it will run when you join a Roblox game. Alright, that should be all the steps that you need to follow in order to get Roblox running optimally on Linux. So let's try running Natural Disaster Survival for a good example. If you are wondering why it has this 10-second freeze rate, there used to be a flag that you could disable called Client Visual Effect Remote, but Roblox recently got rid of this F flag, so you can't solve this issue anymore, unfortunately. And as you can see, we are able to play Roblox optimally. We can look around, and the mouse doesn't get stuck at all. We can go into first person and do almost anything that a Windows user can do. And that is the greatest part about all of this. You have the convenience of running everything on Linux, but still reaping a lot of the benefits that normal macOS or Windows users have. This is really not a good map for Blizzard, to be honest. This is a really bad map here. And just to make sure that our FPS unlocker is working, we're gonna press Shift F5, and as you can see in the top left corner here, we are getting an FPS of 75 per second. If you don't have an FPS unlocker, you should be getting a maximum of 60 per second. But yeah, that should be it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I get more uploads. Again, I don't usually do tutorials, but this is just the one exception. Anyways, this is Game Webcam, and take care.